Good evening. I would like to call the March 6th, 2023 meeting of the Town of Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Here.
Ms. Luckett. Here. Mr. Daniel,
Here.
Mr. Mays,
Here.
Mr. Stanton.
Here. Please take note of the fire exits located in the front and the rear of this room. At this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please note that tonight's meeting is also being simulcast on YouTube and is being recorded. If everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Has everyone read the minutes of the February 6th, 2023 meeting?
Yes.
Are there any corrections?
We had some corrections from Ms. Luckett by email and I've made them.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for doing that. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, by Ms. Luckett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Mays? When you're ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
Luckett,
Yes to the motion. Is that a motion? Yes.
Yes.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Daniel,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
I will also abstain because I was not here. Cicero Town Board acknowledges the importance of full public participation at all meetings, and therefore we urge all who wish to address those in attendance to please come to the microphone located in the front of the room. At this time, I will make a motion that all actions taken tonight are type 2 actions and have a negative impact that is no impact on the environment unless otherwise indicated. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Daniel,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. I will briefly review the process for tonight's meeting for the benefit of those present that have never been before the Zoning Board of Appeals. First, each applicant will have an opportunity to describe their project. The board will then ask questions about the project. I will then open a public hearing where people will be able to speak for or against the proposed variance. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to respond to the public input and provide additional information. Board members will be allowed to ask follow-on questions. The board will openly discuss amongst ourselves the 5 factors that contribute to the final decision. Please note this board does not have a pre-agenda meeting, so there is no discussion of cases outside of the meeting. Lastly, a motion will either be made approving or denying the requested variance, seconded, and voted upon. So our first application or our first case tonight is an application for a property on 8081 Brewerton Road. The applicant is Hakeem Abdul. If you would please come up and address the board. Hi, good evening.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Good, how are you?
And thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
If you could describe your project, please.
We pretty much just we're asking a variance for sign on a building that already exists. We're not changing anything. We just need to have our business name. So give us a little bit of chance as far as exposure is concerned. So it won't change anything else. The only thing we ask is just give us a chance to have our name on the building. That's pretty much it.
Okay. For the benefit of the board, I'd like to note that we do have the resolution from the county planning board. They've said we may act on this without any other conditions. With that, any questions?
Now you've got a sign out front already on the pylon, right?
Temporary one.
Oh, the sign out front under Saki Bomb is temporary? No, I'm talking about on the sign out front.
On the street?
Yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Which direction do you think most of your customers are coming from, north or south?
Which way is it south? Coming this way?
Would be going down that way towards your
Okay, so
place.
north, I would say north.
Okay.
And then another thing about that sign, it's kind of hard to tell it belongs to us because of the setup of the building. So pretty much you don't see anything from when you're on the street. You cannot see our building unless pretty much you coming directly from south direction, I guess, over Target.
Steve, so Sakibam made their space smaller? Is that what happened?
Made their signs?
Their space inside their building?
No, there's always been a
always been
tenant
business.
space out in
There's
the
always
rear.
been tenant
It's
space.
been occupied by a
Insurance.
pet store, or
Insurance.
insurance companies. There have been different tenants in the
And the
past.
signs that were there before, can you describe what they looked like?
There was no sign
Never a sign
on the
back there.
back where he's proposing a sign now, just a sign. The signage that exists was the only previous signage that was ever approved there.
So in preparation for this, what I did was if you go on Google Street View, you can actually pull back year after year after year.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
And I was able to verify, well, one, they had the current sign up, I believe, and then the insurance company, and then I believe the pet store too, they were all using the pylon sign out front. One thing I do have to note is that over the years, it looks like this specific property is actually crept up over they're allowed around 80 some odd square feet worth of signage based on the width of the building.
Okay.
We've crept up to somewhere around 110, 114, somewhere around there. That's a little bit of concern to me, is that there's already been something that's happened out here that wasn't necessarily permitted, and now we're asking to do more. And this is in an area where the density of signs is pretty high. And the sizes are getting kind of big too. Not to mention you've got a graphic on your door plus two light up signs in the windows, which I understand those don't count towards anything, but those to me also count as far as being able to know where the business is.
Those signs in the windows don't count.
They don't count as signage in the sign ordinance. No, window signs are not, the area is not included.
And neither does the graphic on the door, which
Right.
replicates the sign on that's proposed for on top.
If I may, please.
Absolutely.
The signs you're mentioning, you can barely see them literally outside the parking lot. And if it helps you guys, if it helps us, we would be more than happy to take them down in exchange for this sign, because this is the main sign. You cannot see anything from distance. I mean, literally, the difference between our business and then State Farm previous, tenants, is because they don't really need, to advertise their business as much as we do. So people, insurance is a different business, or even pet store. We're completely different business. So we need exposure. And again, if it helps, our cause, we will take those, we will remove them if necessary. But we really, really need something on the building, because we have to take the temporary one we have right now, the plastic one, we have to take that down. I believe we are on our last month, because that one, I believe, is 3 months or something. We pay for that, but we have to take that down very soon. So thereafter, we won't have anything on the building.
Mhm.
And we ask also if we could enlarge the one that's on the street. We were told we cannot. So like the one we have right now is barely, Sakibam is much bigger sign than what they have. Even if we were able to get something that similar to that, that would actually be much better than what we have right now. We were told by the zoning, we cannot. So we cannot have anything, even though we're in the same building, we want to be in the same measurement to make it fair. But what it is not about fairness. It's because we're in the back, Sakibam is in the front. So
Mhm.
we are out of luck. That's pretty much where we are. Our sign is much smaller. If you look at the picture there, compared to the one Sakibam have right now on the street.
Terry, is there anything, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody
No,
off.
I'm still trying to understand, for him to be in compliance, because you mentioned one amount that we already increased it to, for him to be in compliance, how big could that sign be?
So currently,
Without making any
yeah,
change?
looking back at the previously approved signs, everything that exists prior to this request was approved by the town. I can't tell you in what manner they were pre-existing and were allowed to continue. So currently, there's about 116.5 square feet of signage, which is over already
It's already.
the allowed of 84, the 84.1.
Seems funny to me that those awning signs count 77 square feet,
They,
and yet the signs in the windows don't count. That's
because
seems
the
weird.
definition is displayed out of doors,
Displayed out of doors.
So that,
placed out of doors, something like that, yeah.
that does get to my other question. So Terry, can we even? I'm kind of, I think we're on shaky ground if we try and make a condition that they can't have window signs if we wanted to go down that route.
Yeah, I think you should just deal with the application here that's.
Okay.
Unless he consents to it, which he's offered.
Have you talked to Saki Bomb at all? Because one of the trade-offs that I see is not helping Saki Bomb at all is those awning signs. Along with the concern that we're creating a large, some increased density of signs here. It just seems like every time we have a sign variance, somebody's coming back for more because one of the existing tenants takes up all their allotment and then maybe more. Have you considered talking to Saki Bomb to see if they can pull some of the, or cover up some of the awning signs?
Not regarding this particular issue, but after I, talk to them about other issues, some things, they don't cooperate, even using their garbage can, which we were more than happy to compensate them for them. They said no. So I don't think, unless you guys, make them do it. But if you look how many signs they have, the awnings alone, they have tons of sign, and then not to mention the one on the street.
Right.
Much bigger than what we have. To make a little bit of fair, there either should be equal size on the street, or have them reduce some of the awnings they have. I mean, at least give us a chance. I understand what you guys saying. It just is like slippery slope. We ask a little more, the next thing I ask a little bit more, so on and so forth. But I believe Saki Bomb, they are giving a lot compared to the next business, whatever business that is, which we are right now. So they have like maybe 80 out of 100. We only get like 20. I mean, it's not even close.
I think what I'm struggling with is the request is for what, 73% more than what's allowed, right? So that's where I'm really struggling with the size of the variance.
The size?
Correct, the size. Yeah, you're looking for 145 where 84 is allowed. So that's what we're struggling with here.
I believe we were already over the limit. If I'm understanding your question, so before even this variance, I was told we are due to Saki Bomb, we were already over.
Yeah, so
Which
part,
has nothing to do with us.
part of that is the Saki Bomb
Right.
signs. So this is a.
Oh, okay, I guess I didn't back
complicated-
out the math. So,
Yeah, so for clarification, yeah, some of the square footage in this variance is
okay,
for existing signage.
got it. Okay, I missed that calculation.
So if hypothetically, if Saki Bomb were to get rid of their awning signs, they would be at 42 square feet total with just their pylon sign. And then if there's 84 allowed, you could pretty much split it evenly.
Absolutely. Again, I'm not here to badmouth Saki Bomb,
Yeah.
but they exist
Yeah.
in business for 10 years. I believe they've been there.
Mhm.
They really don't need those awning signs as much as we need one sign. They have about 5, 6 awning signs. All we're asking is for one, make a little bit,
Yeah, but they were approved. We can't take that away. No.
Yeah, the previous restaurants had awnings, they were different, but they had awnings and signage when they were replaced. So again, they were based on previous approvals, were granted the same signage that the previous restaurants had there.
Any other questions?
How big is the sign on the pylon? Do we have a dimension of that or
Yeah.
no?
It's in there. Yep.
Yeah, that's,
I'm just not seeing it.
It's the Saki Bomb sign.
I got the Saki Bomb
Yeah.
42 by 80. Was the
Well,
whole
it's
thing
72.
84?
Yeah, so really what it is, the upper one is 4 feet and the lower one is 3 feet. So the
Okay.
smoke of mine is 3 feet.
Okay, got it. So that's 3.
So does that sign over the door have to be so large? It seems a little out of scale to me.
on the door.
The one that you're planning on putting over the door. It seems a little large to me.
It's just about the size. Again, I'm not the one who's gonna make the signs, but I believe it's about the size, what you see in the picture there. I believe, again, I could be wrong. It's about the size of what Saki Bamba have on the outside. I believe so. I could be wrong, but I don't know the exact measurement. But again, if it helps, we can reduce that a little bit just to give ourselves a chance. If that's what, you know, we'll be more than happy to accommodate. We do anything, you know, just make it work. So not too small, but somewhere where you guys be comfortable. And then
Seems to me visually, if it fit over the door, it would seem a little bit more.
Does it have to be lit? Because you do have a light right above it also.
I believe, yes, it has to be.
And is the sign by the road lit?
Yes. Just like somewhere Sasaki bomb. Unfortunately, the first guy we had made us sign, they actually made a black, which is not helping us. So I made a deal with these people. Instead of the black background, which is not their fault, we have to make a white background. Because again, right now that sign is barely, you know, visible as it is. So that's not, you know, against the CD or the ordinance. That's just something that, an oversight, I guess. So.
What do you think will get folks to stop in your shop versus any of the ones within a half a mile radius?
Sign is a, you know, big deal as far as like exposure of, you know, of any business. So especially if your business is about traffic. I mean, right now, if we take that little plastic thing you see, if we take that off, it's just like one business. I mean, hypothetically, you know, it looks just like one business from distance, unless you literally drive in the parking lot, you know, you will not tell the difference if there's any other business. Literally yesterday, I had one of the guys who was trying to drop something off for me in the store. He couldn't find it. So he literally had to go all the way in there. And then I had to have a guy here say, hey, that's the store right there. Just simply you cannot see it. You cannot tell the difference between us and Saki Bomb.
Yeah. Part of that's a function of just the location of the store though, too, right? I think anything that's been in there, I remember when it was a pet store, it was hard to find, right?
Absolutely, you absolutely 100% correct. So
Yeah.
those guys didn't need, you know, foot traffic as much as we do.
Yeah, do you think that most people know what they're looking to get when they stop in your place?
We get a lot of customer by accident
Okay,
because they, you know, like a DoorDash people.
okay.
So because I work in the store myself, I go there twice a week to see exactly what's going on. So I've seen the DoorDash people come like, oh, I barely knew you guys were here. So it just, you know, they don't know we exist unless they are out there to get food or, you know, DoorDash pick up food, they will see us by accident. From outside, even from Walmart, I went across the street, I went from Target just to look if I can see the business. The sign Mr. Chairman was mentioning at the door, you cannot see them literally out 10 feet from the parking lot. You cannot tell what they are. So.
I feel like we got a problem, right? I mean, we got a problem with the pylon out front, I think, right? And the awnings and whatnot.
Yeah, I personally, I'm leaning towards this being a issue that's internal to, you know, owner tenant type thing, and the owner or whoever is taking up too much signage and not allowing the tenant to have their fair share.
Right.
Especially considering they've gone over already. But let's do the public hearing and then maybe we can talk a little bit more about it. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. Will anyone speak for this? Will anyone speak against this? This time I will close the public hearing. Okay, we're back.
Have you had a chance to talk to the landlord, to the owner of the building about potentially saying, hey, I mean, do you have any like signage guarantees in your lease for the space?
No, but we actually pay for this variance for everything because it's in our interest. So the landlord is currently in Florida right now. Not going too much into details, they don't care. Because at the end of the day, the only thing every landlord wants is rent. Can you give me my rent? Whatever else, we have to fix the store. It costs us about $10,000 just to get the store up and running. That's not just them. Every other store we have, literally even the lock, they don't change. They literally give you the key, hey, whatever you do. So the landlord actually will laugh at me if I ask them to do anything. They don't want to be bothered in Florida. Even this, he was very kind to send a lot of people to, the gentleman over there. But I can try, but I don't think I'm going to succeed. They're just going to tell me, we don't care. So, however they, but unless it, comes from you guys, I don't think Sakibam was going to cooperate. That I know for a fact.
And Steve, there's nothing that, because the town has incrementally approved these things, there's nothing we can do to crank down on what the existing situation is.
No, I don't think so. We went back many years and this is what was there going back to the two previous restaurants and the previous tenants that were there.
What's everyone thinking?
I think it's reasonable to have a sign over the door. I don't like how large it is. I feel for him that he's
Yeah.
being punished for the sake bomb problem.
I think, I'm with Terry on this one. I think I've changed my opinion. I was kind of negative on the sign, but I kind of get everything he described. Maybe if we can talk a little bit about the size of the sign over the door, to Terry's point, maybe that would be something we could entertain.
Yeah, I think I share your concerns with the slippery slope and little bit. And to me, this is an internal landlord tenant issue that should have been negotiated before a lease was ever signed to account for these issues. And so now to make up for it on the back end, to further increase a variance, I don't think that's the way to go.
So Terry, you're saying that you might be on board to make the sign smaller. What size are you thinking?
That it fit over top of the door without, just shrink it down so that it fits over top of that
So that-
door,
That's probably a 36-inch door.
probably. I just don't think we can
I get what you're saying.
retroactively go back and tell Sakibon to take
No.
those awnings down. I don't think we can.
No, I think that would have to be, I think that'd have to come from the landlord.
I don't even think the landlord could do it
Yeah.
now.
He's got 98
My
inches.
my fear with this is that if it's a 36 or even 48-inch door, if this sign is showing it close to 98 inches, there's a scale. Yeah, I think there's a.
Oh,
scale
there's definitely a
problem
scale
with
thing
this.
for sure,
Yeah.
right?
So it's a lot bigger. It's even a lot bigger.
Oh,
than
it's
this
gotta
is.
be 2x the size of that sign right there.
But to me, it would feel right if if it fit over top of that door. And it's lit, so I think you can see it if it's that big.
I think that's something we can, work on. I'm no technician, I don't do this, but if I may address one concern you both have, slippery slope, or you three have, what do you think is gonna happen? Let's say the next business, you believe they're gonna ask for another sign? It's only one door in the front. What more can another business ask? I'm just hypothetically.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate too much about down the road, but again, if another business were to be moving in there, they should negotiate with the landlord to accommodate that. And, that's a sales point for the landlord. If he can't accommodate the sign, then they go elsewhere. So it really needs to be something that a business owner discusses before they ever sign the lease there. And potentially then the landlord needs to renegotiate with Sakibom next time they're leased to make it a 50-50 split or something. But I do understand you're stuck in kind of a tough spot now because you're there. And it does make it difficult.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
So we've got two routes that we can go. One is to talk about some reduced dimensions and defer to the next meeting or to when the applicant can come
We're
back
gonna
with a
have to.
different sign size. The other would be just an out and out denial of it. Those are the two things that I'm seeing right now.
If he's agreeable to come back and talk about a reduced sign that kind of, to Terry's point, fits within the confines of the door frame.
Okay.
You know, at least from my perspective, that's what I can wrap my head around, or, you know, like I said, an out and out denial, we could do, I mean, but
I mean, but the only thing with the denial is that shuts it down.
I know,
in
that's
perpetuity,
why I'm
so-
trying to figure out some sort of reasonable solution.
Why couldn't you approve your dimensions that you agreed to?
What I was gonna go with, give me the maximum. And then, you know, these guys won't allow us to go over that.
How do
So,
How do you say that, though, that it has to be scaled down to fit over top of the door?
Well,
No wider than 36 inches wide?
or no wider than the
The
door. I
door
guess.
frame, maybe?
No wider than the door frame. We can do that.
yeah, and I guarantee you guys, I promise, you know, I have no intention wasting any of you guys' time, so we don't have, just give me the maximum allowed. I will work on that. If that's not possible, I'll come back, let this young man know, hey, this is the situation, but I would just abide by that, I would accept that. And then, you know, sincerely thank you guys for giving us a shot. So,
And we can't
But
say
you can
remove
do
the
it,
signs
right?
out of the
You
window.
can do it dimensionally.
No, I mean, we can have a gentleman's agreement, so to speak, to not have them there, but I don't think we can make that a condition of the permit, since that's not a permittable feature right now.
He did indicate that he was agreeable to taking the signs out of the window if we did the sign, right? Did I hear you properly?
I did,
Yeah.
if it comes down to it, yes. I mean, not that we want, but you know, we know the most important sign is the one at the door.
Mhm.
So, because that's the one people can see from distance.
We're just concerned about clutter.
Okay,
Mhm.
I mean, I understand you all have jobs to do here to look out for the city, so we have similar interest, you know, yeah.
Steve, this may be a silly question, but if we approve anything here, it's in perpetuity, basically. So, right, if the next tenant comes in.
As long as he follows through and puts the sign up within a year's period of time, it runs with the property.
So one thing I have done in the past, though, and we did this on that property on Route 11 north of 31, I think it was the RV place or whatnot. We conditioned it that this increase was just for building mounted sign, so that can't then be taken in, because otherwise if you
yeah.
do that, you can add it into the front signage.
Oh, right. It's a good idea.
So the idea here then would be to have a statement that it's 36 inches or the width of the door. I'm a little fuzzy on just saying the width of the door, because that's not, I mean, to me, that's not a concrete number.
Yeah.
Do we,
Then you have to
do we
height.
say no,
I'm talking about sign.
no greater than the width of the door frame as indicated in the pictures, you know, that were in our packet dated, whatever? I mean, I don't know how to nail it down either, right? Because there's no dimensions.
Terry, how do you feel about that?
Well, like Steve said, there's an awning there. You could base it off the width of the awning, which I suppose.
It's
somebody-
essentially the width of the door.
Right.
What if someone was ever to put a wider door in?
That's what I'm trying to prevent against, is someone coming back in saying that, you know,
Would it be
3
reasonable
years
to
from now,
say-
there's a 6-foot wide door, right?
Not, okay, well, I would say it's probably, the door's probably about 3 feet wide and you got a little space on each side. You know, not to exceed 42 inches in width.
With the jams and the,
That's probably reasonable. Now, what about the height?
It has to be scaled down, right? They're
Yeah.
just gonna take the whole thing.
Probably,
It
yes.
would,
Yeah.
because it's currently 42 inches high. So I think they would have to scale it similarly to have this look.
I mean, that would actually save us money because they're charged by the length. So should assign
Right.
people.
Would
Yeah.
probably end up to be 2 foot high if you're
Right.
thinking about.
It's kind of what I was
Maintaining that.
thinking.
Yeah, so just the ratio, right? The rectangular ratio.
At that size, won't it lose some of the street visibility that you're seeking?
That's the goal. Yes, sir. That's the goal. Yeah, especially, you know, winter time here, pretty much 4 or 5 months out of the year. I mean, it gets dark quickly. So, yeah.
Well, and this is where this is where if we go down this route, I would advise you to get a little bit creative too, because maybe some of the graphics go, but the lettering stays. You know, because at that size, when you try and squeeze all the graphics in, it may
Mm.
cause a visibility problem like they're talking about. But I mean, that will give you assuming we go down this route, we'll give you a blank slate, X wide by X
Appreciate-
high, and you can, do what you want with it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
How are we feeling about that, guys?
That sounds good to me.
It's reasonable, right? I think it's,
Does somebody then want to review the 5 factors? Make a motion?
Are we gonna propose a certain square footage? Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah, so what that would work out to, I quick jotted down, 42 by 24.
It's like 7 square feet.
So 42.
Say that
do
again.
that
What
right?
are we doing?
Yeah, that on 7 square foot.
7 square, proposing 42 by 24.
So would we make we would make it conditioned on the actual size, but that would equal 7 square feet. We could
Yes.
Potentially.
And also,
We wouldn't just say 7 square feet, because then it could be 4
That's up,
foot high by
Ye-
2 foot wide.
yeah, that's up to you guys. Yeah.
Or 42.
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't hurt to do the dimensions.
Yeah, you can give the dimensions. to
Because
say
because
not
then we
to-
stay within the confines of what we're trying to do with the door frame, right? Of
Yes.
What we think is the door frame.
Yeah.
And then did you
Uh,
get Chuck's condition?
Say that again. Say it to me again.
So the
That it must be-
condition is that this additional 7 square foot is tied to being
Oh,
side of the building signage as opposed to freestanding signage.
To prevent signage creep.
Yes.
I will try to review the 5 factors, but I'm gonna need some help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Well,
so,
we're
the
here for-
applicant- just so we can make it clear to the applicant, because he was asking for 28.5, and this is 7, so. Just so that he's clear on what you're considering.
Yeah, we're talking about a quarter of the size of the sign that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I'm gonna freely point out that this is not the scale that
He was asked for.
you're asking for.
Right.
Like This,
Okay.
this sign that's shown here is about half the size of that sign. And what we're going to approve is about a quarter of the size of this.
Okay. So the quarter of the original.
Probably closer to what we're actually gonna approve is
Yeah,
probably
okay.
closer to this, right?
Yeah.
So
It's
mean-
gonna be, it would,
I'm hoping it's gonna be
you're right.
smaller
Yeah.
than that.
But I
scale.
mean, but it's not here, right?
to
Because
scale, it
that's
would
what
be
his
slightly
line- his
smaller
drawing
than what
was
you
like
see
out
on the
here.
picture.
Okay,
Where if this was actually to
Yes.
scale, this would be like between my.
I see.
fingers.
Okay, okay.
You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
So it will be slightly smaller in the picture, but a quarter of
Yes.
okay.
Correct.
Because again, I'm not technical.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. So,
No, that's okay.
yeah.
if you want to picture it the way it would be though, it would be
Oh,
just
okay.
about the width of door frame to door frame.
Okay,
above it.
okay. What about the length?
The height would be,
So
The
they're
height.
gonna
would be
be
2 feet, so it'd be like
Okay. So
4 inches.
how far from the original height? How much off?
Oh,
Have an idea?
more than half.
yeah, to be about half the height.
Well,
yeah, a
thank you.
little bit more than half.
I'm all messed up with the math here. So the total we're asking for is 7 plus 42 plus 77.6. 7 over the door plus 42 on the monument plus 77.6 on the awnings. You got me? Steve?
Yeah, 74.6 on the awnings that you said.
That sounds right. Here, let me get back to. Yeah, so 74.6 for the 4 awnings, 42 for the existing signage. And then, like you said, another 7 for the wall mounted.
They're getting 74.6 on the awnings versus your 77.6.
So we're approving 123.6.
You got it.
That's the number.
That sounds right.
Okay, let me try this. This is gonna take me a while.
Okay, absolutely. Take your time. Yeah.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial. Let's see. 84.1 square feet is allowed. He's asking for 123.6, which is how many feet more? 123.6 minus 84.1 is, which is 39.5
Yep.
feet more.
47%.
47%. So it's 47%, and I would say this is substantial.
Thank you.
Maria, do I need to say that again?
No, I actually
You got it.
have to. I was doing the run.
Whether an undesirable,
Let's go down,
No,
let's
sorry.
make sure we're in agreement.
I totally agree. It's substantial. I think we've talked about all the circumstances on this property, both internal between tenant and client and kind of the external factors that the applicant mentioned relative to try to get some traffic into the store, but it's definitely substantial.
Mr. Daniel,
Agreed.
Mr. Mays,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I would agree.
number two, whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties would be created. I'm gonna say no. Mr. Abdul has agreed to reduce the size of the sign. And to reduce some of the clutter on the building, so I would say that there's not an undesirable change.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Mr. Daniel,
Agreed.
Mr. Mays,
I agree as it's conditioned.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree as it will be conditioned also.
Number three, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I'm gonna say no, he wants to get people into his store. And any sign over that door is gonna require an area variance.
Mr. Rabia,
I mean, we talked a little bit about a meeting. There's probably a way where you can do it without a variance, sending him back to go negotiate with his landlord, but sounds like that ship has sailed, so. Doesn't matter what I think at this point.
Mr. Daniel,
Agreed.
Mr. Mays,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I would agree. I would also say that it appears that Mr. Abdul has been more than willing to negotiate with us on this, so that that I take into consideration when answering this question also.
Thank you.
And number four, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I'm gonna say no.
Mr. Rabia.
I agree.
Mr. Daniel,
Agreed.
Mr. Mays,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
Okay, a motion.
Nope.
Help me out, guys.
Self-created.
Self-created.
Yeah, is it a self-created hardship? Yes. Mr. Abdul is requesting, a non-conforming sign policy. Guess policy isn't the right word, non-conforming sign.
Variance.
Sure, variance.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Mr. Daniel,
Agreed with just the side note that these types of issues, I think, should be addressed before leases are ever signed, and it's not up to this board to correct lack of foresight.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
On behalf of Hakeem Abdul, who is opening a smoke shop at 8081 Brewerton Road, I make a motion to approve an area variance for a proposed sign with an area of approximately 7 square feet. Is that how we want this to
So
read?
what I would say is, for a sign 42 inches wide
Right.
by 24 inches high, not to exceed 7 square feet.
Okay,
That's kind of, it's self-limiting the way we said it, but you may as well say that anyways.
conditioned on the sign being just building mounted.
So what I think is that we need to include the total, the overall area of all the signs
So the
together,
123.6.
and then we have to tie it back, the condition back into that the wall, the 7 square feet is for a wall mounted sign, and it's not gonna be anything other than that.
Okay, how about this? 42 inches wide times 24 inches high, not to exceed 7 square feet for a total signage on the building of 123.6 square feet
On the property.
On the
Sure.
property. Yeah.
on the property
Yeah.
of 123.6 square feet. Just the additional sign to be just for building mounted.
It's not only building mounted, it's building mounted in this specific location. Right?
Building mounted over the door, over the entryway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's tie it back to that 7 square foot.
Maybe,
too.
maybe include centered over the door, over the entry door.
I like that.
Building mounted and centered over the entry door.
It's gonna be a fun one to write up, Terry.
I know.
I'm sorry, can you give me the whole thing one more time?
Okay. We'll say it again. And it's probably gonna be wrong again, so I apologize. On behalf of Hakeem Abdul, who's opening a smoke shop at 8081 Brewerton Road, I make a motion to approve an area variance for a proposed sign that is 42 inches wide times 24 inches high, not to exceed 7 square foot for a total signage on the property of 123.6 square foot.
Yep.
Conditioned on the additional 7 square foot to be applied, to be a building mounted sign that is centered over the entry door to the rear
Perfect.
Business.
business,
That's space, yep.
Rear tenant space.
Space.
rear tenant space.
I'll second that.
All right.
Hurry up.
Good job.
When you're ready, please call the roll. Yeah, that was really good. Thank you.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes, the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Daniel,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, the motion. Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen
Thank
and
you.
lady. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Back,
You're all
we
set.
done.
Nope, you're all set.
Oh, you can leave.
All right. And then when do I get those measurements from zoning? Cause I gotta take that to the professionals. When would that be available?
Yep. Wait, in a few days, you'll be notified, your variance, you can come in and sign for it, and we'll give you the dimensions, you can order your sign.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yep.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening. Okay. Second and final case tonight is National Grid. For a property on Route 298, there is no address, but it is tax map 0640227.0.
Good evening. Thank you for your time.
You're gonna be a lot easier.
I'm Josh Sandberg. I'm the project manager for this regulator station rebuild project for National Grid. We're asking for a fence variance, essentially. We're replacing all the above ground and below ground equipment at the gas regulator station, including replacing the old fence there. I believe the current fence is about between 7 and 8 foot tall with the barbed wire at this point. National Grid's new standard fence variance for security and public safety is 8 foot of fabric plus 1 foot of barbed wire. So it's a total of 9 feet tall. It also has a foot of the fabric buried below grade. So that's what we're here to ask for a variance on your and your fence.
And just for everybody's reference, we also did get a response back from the county on this one, and they said they referred it to us with no exceptions. So
How similar is this project to the one you guys came in front of us back in September on? Very similar, right?
Yes, sir. Taft Road, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, same thing. It's part of our initiative to
Yeah.
upgrade our
Upgrade.
stations and, yep.
in keeping with what you folks said last time, this is your recommended security, the way you address the security on the site when we've got critical infrastructure like gas lines above
Correct.
ground. Okay.
Yeah, it's a company standard and it's used at all our gas and electric facilities. It's a closer mesh to help with security of the critical infrastructure and then also public safety. Keep folks out of there.
It looked like too, the footprint of the actual where the fence was going was pretty much the same too, between the same plant, between the two plans.
Correct.
The demo. Okay.
Yeah, we're not expanding the footprint here.
Do you ever do any landscaping to hide any of this?
We've planted some vegetation like arborvitae's when there's a concern, if there's some neighbors nearby. Some towns are concerned with putting vegetation buffers on the sides or the rear. We don't like to put it in the front, so our security can drive by or any authority can drive by and have visibility into the station itself. But we have put up vegetation buffers on the sides and the rear.
When you mentioned fabric, what did you mean? Because maybe
It's just, it's the mesh, it's the chain link mesh.
Oh, just the.
Yeah, it's
okay,
just,
the fence
it's
itself.
just
Okay,
the
so not,
technical term.
not anything
yeah,
that
for the-
blocks your vision into the station. It's, okay, got it. Sorry.
Correct. Yep.
Technical term.
Anything else, guys?
Feel like we've done this before.
Yes. Yes. Without creating a precedent, yeah, we have handled something very similar to this before. So with this, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? Now close the public hearing. Any other questions, or would somebody like to entertain 5 factors in a motion?
I feel like I should do the 5 factors after Terry took the other one on.
There you go.
All right, so whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties, I would say no, you're replacing a fence with barbed wire with a fence with barbed wire, making it slightly taller. Most people probably aren't even gonna notice the difference.
Mr. Rabia?
Agreed.
Ms. Luckett?
Agreed.
Mr. Daniel?
Agreed.
Mr. Stanton?
Agreed.
Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. I would say no. I think the benefit and the importance of protecting this infrastructure is, I think it's worth the extra foot.
Mr. Rabia?
Agreed.
Ms. Luckett?
Agreed.
Mr. Daniel?
Agreed.
Mr. Stanton?
I agree, and I would also say when you look at some of the other things that could be done to secure the site, the fence with the barbed wire on top of it is probably the least obtrusive out of any of them.
Okay, whether the requested variance is substantial. I would say yes, 50% variance is substantial, but not a reason to deny.
Mr. Rabia?
Absolutely agree.
Ms. Luckett?
Agreed.
Mr. Daniel?
Agreed.
Mr. Stanton?
Agreed.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? Nope, shouldn't affect the environment or physical conditions of the area at all.
Mr. Rabia?
Agreed.
Ms. Luckett?
Agreed.
Mr. Daniel?
Agreed.
Mr. Stanton?
Agreed.
Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. I would say yes, wanting to upgrade the fence at the site is self-created, but not a reason to deny.
Mr. Rabia?
Agreed.
Ms. Luckett?
Agreed.
Mr. Daniel?
Agreed.
Mr. Stanton?
Agreed.
Okay, so with that, I will make a motion on behalf of National Grid, Route 298, tax map 064 -02 -27.0. An area variance where the proposed fence is 9 foot high and contains barbed wire, where fences no more than 6 foot high are allowed, and fences containing barbed wire material are prohibited.
I'll second.
Very good.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes, to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes, to the motion.
Mr. Daniel,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. Congratulations.
All right.
Well carried.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You. All right, so our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 3rd, 2023. I'm assuming we've got some cases coming up.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
Definitely
good.
have one.
Beautiful.
All right. Does anyone else have any other business before the board? There being no other business before this board, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
So I'm still going.
Do we want to, Steve?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, everyone.